Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me. My name is Chef Tera Murray with Beyond Green Partners, and today we're going to be making some pulled pork. Right here I have about a 4.5 pound pork shoulder, and this is bone in. And what we're going to be doing is just rubbing it with a spice mix that I made here. Real simple. I have it all laid out right here. So we did 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, a tablespoon of oregano, a tablespoon of coriander seed, and 2 tablespoons of cumin. So first thing, I already kind of dried this off with a paper towel. You always want to dry off your proteins just to get all that excess liquid off, just so whatever seasonings you're put on your protein or your meat is absorbed more efficiently, and it just doesn't like slip off. So we'll just pat that dry a little bit. So first thing, I'm just gonna use some salt and pepper here and generously season all sides of the pork. Pork likes a lot of salt. Let's get all that. Okay, now for the pepper. Always a little bit less than the salt. So I would say this is probably about a good tablespoon and a half of salt and a tablespoon of pepper. All right, and now for our spice mix. Also, one thing I did first was preheat the oven to 300 degrees. I want to kind of speed up the process a little bit. So it can cook for maybe about 4 hours at 300. You could always do it much lower, even up 225 to 275. Just leave it in longer. Slow and low is always best. So I'm really gonna hit this a lot with seasoning here. Kind of pat it in. And one good thing you can do when you are doing like a dry rub on protein is to let it sit in the seasoning for a little bit. Let it kind of seep in and marinate with the dry spices. I noticed I'm keeping one hand for the spice, one hand for the meat, so if I do have some left, I don't want to cross-contaminate my spices here. So just make sure that you're having one hand for the spice and one hand to handle your meat. So as you can see here, it's very much covered in this spice mix that I got. And if doing a spice mix isn't something that you really want to do, there's lots of great pre-made spice mixes out there in the world. Just always check your ingredients. You want to make sure that you can pronounce everything on the ingredients list. All right, so I'm just gonna let this sit and marinate at room temperature for just maybe like 30 minutes or so. So we'll be back in about 30. Okay, so we've been letting our spices sit on our pork butt, and I'm gonna use this Dutch oven. You could use any kind of oven-proof dish, and wrap the actual pork loin in foil and let that roast. And I'm not putting any liquid in here just because a lot of the fat is gonna render, so it's gonna be able to cook in its own juices. So I'm gonna put this in for about 4 hours at 300. And the best way to tell that it's done well is if you have an internal thermometer, you want it to read 185 to 190. Otherwise, you wanna be able to just kind of pull it apart easily. So we will be checking on that in about 4 hours. So right on the middle rack, here we go. Just set and forget it. 4 hours, we'll have some pulled pork. Okay, so it's been about 4 hours, and as you can see, the pork here is coming off really easily. It's already slipped right off the bone. So we're pretty much tender and ready to go. So I'm gonna let this cool for a little bit and then shred it. I'll probably make a little coleslaw, get some buns, my favorite barbecue sauce, dress it up and put it on a sandwich. So one technique I like to use, because sometimes you don't always want to wait till it's fully cooled, is just to take 2 forks like this and just pull it apart like so. And it's really easy to see the grain, so you're just pulling all of that apart like so. Okay, and it will just come apart naturally. And also, the lower you have your temperature and the longer you leave it in, the more tender it will be. So this is something that you could do if you feel comfortable, having your oven on overnight. Have it as low as like 225, 250. And just let it go overnight. It's a great way to kind of set it and forget it. As you can see, it's all kind of naturally pulled. I mean, this is what pulled pork is. You're just, pulling it against the grain here. So again, once you get to this point, you can, you want to keep it in this liquid, but whatever you're serving, you might want to drain out if you're only going to be using half. I would just take it out, put it into another bowl, dress it with some barbecue sauce, and then put it on a bun. I'm going to be doing this with a sesame seed bun and some coleslaw. Or it's great just like this too. And there you have it, folks. Pulled pork. What do you think, Winston? Thanks again for joining me. Again, I'm Chef Tera with Beyond Green Partners, and I hope that you all are staying safe and healthy.